I'd like to call the Board of Commissioners meeting to order Monday, April 27th at 6:50 p.m. Will you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So I'd like to give notice of an executive sessions. When executive sessions were held on April 16th and also just prior to this meeting to discuss legal and personnel issues. Now, if anyone from the public would like to come up and speak for public participation, you can speak for 5 minutes. Just let us know what street you live on. Okay, seeing none, moving on to the consent agenda. Does anyone have any questions on the consent agenda from the public? Anyone? No. Staff or from the board? Okay. Can I have a motion for the consent agenda?
So moved.
And a second? Call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, so we're moving to the business agenda. 3A, Resolution 2026-62, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of Radnor Township, Delaware County, Pennsylvania, approving the intermunicipality liquor license transfer application of Free Hugs LLC pursuant to the Code of Radnor Township and the Pennsylvania Liquor Code. Can I have a motion? And a second?
Second.
Thank you.
So the explanation for this is the exact same resolution you approved last month. It was reviewed by the applicant prior to being put on the agenda. There were no questions. When it was submitted to the PLCB, they they kicked it back to the applicant because the seller's corporate name was not in the resolution. So you'll see in the second whereas, the second line, it talks about the liquor license number owned by Nadia Incorporated. So we've added Nadia Incorporated to that whereas, and also we've added Nadia Incorporated to the now therefore clause. So that was the reason why they would not approve it. They wanted, we haven't always done that. I always have the applicant's attorney review these, and, he okayed it. So it's the exact same thing. It's just adding the corporate name of the seller of the license.
Okay, thank you. Any comments from the public? From the board?
Yes, my only question then, Mr. Rice, is this a reintroduction that will have to come back? So we're not doing another hearing on it?
No. It's just a resolution.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just it's a new resolution, but it's really amending the prior one.
Understood.
Okay, all right, let's call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Again, welcome to the Third Ward.
All right, moving on to 3B, Ordinance 2026-11, Introduction. Removal of a handicap space at 38 Garrett Avenue. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Commissioner, that property, the subject moved, who was in need of that signage, so we were trying to get as much available parking as possible on Garrett Avenue. So that'll be restored to regular parking.
All right, thank you. Any comments from the public? From the board? Let's call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, 3C, Ordinance 2026-10, introduction. An ordinance of Radnor Township, Delaware County, Pennsylvania, amending the code of the Township of Radnor, Chapter 240, Solid Waste, Article 3, General Provisions, Recycling, Sections 240-21, Definitions, and Sections 240-25, Recyclables to require recycling at community events. Thank you, Mr. Foster.
Yes, Commissioner, I'll take that one. This came about because we're applying for a 902 grant, and part of the stipulations for applying for that grant, we have to have in our recycling code a stipulation to recycle at community events. So in order for us to continue to move forward, which we are planning to do, we need to get that adopted, or tonight is being introduced, but we need to get that into legislation and into our ordinance so that we can continue to move forward.
All right, thank you. Any public comment? Board comment?
Yep, I think it's a really great idea. Even if you just did it for this reason, we should have thought of it earlier, and it's a good thing to do. The trick is your signage and making people not throw trash in your recycling bins. And I don't know how you do that, but other places do it with different size holes and the likes. But think about, I know signage was part of this, so thanks.
Yeah, we've had recycling barrels in with a lot of the community events, but like you said, trying to get it to be clearly just recycling will be a chore.
Because people will throw
but
trash if they just are walking by, so.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, that was one of my questions is, don't we currently offer recycling at community events? It's just sometimes not everybody is looking at the color of the bucket, maybe. Okay, and then you mentioned this is a 902 grant. What is that?
Yes, it's the grant that the state offers for recycling initiatives. So it can deal with yard waste. We're looking into it for trying to get a piece of machinery for us to do better with our leaf composting. So as part of that, it required us to have to do some more initiatives when it came to recycling at the community events.
Excellent. It's a great idea, and I hope it gets us to move forward on that grant application. Thank you, Mr. Foster.
How much is the grant?
It is for $250,000.
Wow, that's a lot.
And
I like
the
that.
township would only have to put up 10% of that amount if we find a piece of equipment for that.
Very, very good. Thank you. Any comments from the public? Can I have a motion for this?
So moved.
Second, thank you. We'll call the vote. All in favor? Aye. Okay, 3D, ordinance 2026-12. Introduction. An ordinance of Radnor Township, Delaware County, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, creating Chapter 115, Article 4, pet stores of the Code of the Township of Radnor, adding definitions to Chapter 115, Article 1, prohibiting the sale of dogs and cats in pet stores, establishing penalties for violations, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, providing severability clause, and providing an effective date. Can I have a motion
So moved.
and a second?
Second?
If you don't mind, I'm going
Yeah.
to lead this in. So this is something that I'm bringing forward to prohibit commercial sale of cats and dogs in pet stores in Radnor Township. It's about not only protecting animals, but I think it also protects our families. Too often, puppies and kittens are sold in retail pet stores, and they come from these large-scale commercial breeding operations, otherwise known as puppy mills or kitten mills. And the animals are bred in really poor conditions with little regard for health, humane treatment, or genetic soundness. And the result is that families may unknowingly purchase pets that suffer from serious medical and behavioral issues. And that really is not only a financial burden, but I think it can end up being quite heartbreaking. This doesn't prevent residents from adding pets to their families. I am the proud, exasperated owner of 3 geriatric rescue dogs. It encourages adoptions from shelters and rescues, and it supports responsible and ethical breeders. who work directly with prospective owners. It shifts our community away from this retail pipeline that can perpetuate cruelty and toward a humane, transparent, and responsible practices. I will note that there is currently no operation in Radnor that fits this description. We do not have commercial pet stores that are selling cats and dogs, and the pet supply place that we do have, Braxton's, is very an ethical, wonderful business that I support, and they are connected to rescues, but they don't sell the animals there. This is not new. A lot of municipalities have already taken this step. I think for a long time our major cities, Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, have banned the sale of pets in pet stores. And I believe this is straightforward, compassionate policy that protects animals, supports families, and reflects the values of our community. I have invited tonight somebody who can speak to this in much more detail than I can. So this is Grace Kelly Herbert, who is the CEO and president of a local rescue called Finding Shelter Animal Rescue, and has been a proponent for this type of legislation, not only in municipalities, but has been working for years at the state level. And I think that every jurisdiction that can get on board, it just keeps our families and our animals in our communities safer and healthier. So welcome, Grace.
Thank you, Maura. Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this evening. My name is Grace Kelly. I'm the president and co-founder of Finding Shelter Animal Rescue, and I'm here to share my perspective on a proposed humane pet store ordinance for Radnor Township. I strongly support the proposed ordinance because of its direct impact on consumers seeking to add a pet to their family and the animals involved in the production and sales through pet stores. Imagine walking into a bright and cheerful pet store, seeing adorable puppies wagging their tails, but knowing that behind those wagging tails lies a dark reality. Many of these animals come from large-scale commercial breeding facilities, often called puppy mills, where dogs are kept in cramped cages, denied proper veterinary care, and treated as commodities rather than living beings. Now imagine just a few aisles away, a parrot with clipped wings in a cage too small to stretch, or a reptile without proper heat or humidity. The truth is, while dogs and cats often receive the most attention in animal welfare laws, countless other species, birds, reptiles, amphibians, fish, small mammals, are left without the same protections. They still come from mills, kitten mills, bird mills, reptile mills, etc. I'm asking you to carefully consider expanding the ordinance to all species. As Radnor Township does not currently have any pet stores who sell animals, this would be a preventative measure to protect your residents. I've seen firsthand the suffering that happens when profit is placed above animal welfare. Since 2010, I have personally rescued nearly 10,000 dogs and puppies from breeders throughout Pennsylvania. Just me and my van every week responding to calls to surrender unwanted, sick, or not profitable dogs. These breeders are not always limited to dogs. Some also supply cats, rabbits, guinea pigs, birds, and various other species to pet stores in Pennsylvania and beyond. In the past 3 weeks, I've rescued 2 puppies. One was a 9-week-old mini poodle we named Meatloaf with a grade 5 out of 6 heart murmur. I have a picture of Meatloaf. He does not look like a meatloaf. You're probably expecting like a little bulldog or something like that, but he's a little poodle.
If you put it on the table, they're going to
Okay.
put a projector. No, on the one right next to you.
Here, okay.
And our tech guy's going to.
Meatloaf, okay. He was diagnosed with PDA, or patent ductus arteriosus, a genetic heart condition. The only chance for him to survive was open heart surgery, as he was starting to go into congestive heart failure. Again, 9 weeks old. He had the surgery 2 weeks ago, and thankfully it was successful. The financial cost was $10,000.46. I got the invoice yesterday. About had a heart attack myself. His siblings have all been sold, and I'm trying to get the breeder to surrender his productive parents at a minimum, get them genetically screened. And so far, they are not receptive. but I'm going to continue to try and educate them. The people who bought his siblings have no idea that Meatloaf went through all of these cardiac issues. What if they were a Radnor Township resident who bought a puppy that was genetically sick from a Radnor Township pet store? Would they be able to afford the cost of surgery on top of the purchase price of the puppy? What if they financed the puppy, which could cost them additional thousands of dollars in interest? Pet stores are famous for predatory lending practices. The second puppy I rescued, just days after I rescued Meatloaf, was an 8-week-old Bichon named Fred. This is little Fred. Totally different farm, no relation to each other. Same grade 5 out of 6 heart murmur, same level of specialty care, same plan to have surgery. But last Monday night, not even 12 hours before his scheduled open heart surgery, Fred started to have complications from congestive heart failure. He rapidly declined. He was no longer a safe candidate for surgery the next morning. He went into cardiac arrest and he died. My rescue partners who accepted Fred into their organization, because we couldn't take him into ours, we couldn't afford another $10,000 surgery a week after we had already done one, they spent about $5,000 just trying to diagnose, stabilize, and save him. They were left with nothing but the invoice. Again, I want you to imagine if this was one of your constituents who bought this puppy from a pet store in your township. What if they were to have medical issues past the puppy lemon law window? What if they accumulated these costs before they were approved for pet insurance? What if they had children who bonded and loved their puppy and were devastated to watch him pass away? I don't want you to imagine this because I want you to prevent it from ever happening due to never allowing the sale of animals in this compassionate community that you call home. Radnor Township prides itself on compassion and responsibility. It's the home of Braxton's Animal Works, one of the finest pet supply stores in the Commonwealth. They set the bar very high for how to operate a successful business for decades without selling animals. I personally drive past multiple pet stores closer to my home who sell animals just to shop at Braxton's. Let's not allow the introduction of any future pet stores in Radnor Township who would prey on your residents and take away from the shining star of a small business that you already have operating here. Some may worry that this will hurt small businesses, but in reality, clear standards protect reputable pet stores by ensuring a level playing field and building consumer trust. Stores already committed to humane care will have nothing to fear. This ordinance simply ensures everyone meets the same baseline of responsibility. But I do request that you consider expanding beyond dogs and cats. Without clear enforceable standards for all species, we risk allowing silent suffering to continue behind glass containers. The American Veterinary Medical Association notes that improper housing and diet are leading causes of illness in exotic pets. In several states, including California and Maryland, ordinances now require humane care standards for all animals sold in retail settings, not just cats and dogs, but California and Maryland have passed statewide laws to prevent dogs and cats from being sold in pet stores. So they're just expanding on the state level because they have local ordinances that are expanding on it as well. Local humane societies also report that many surrendered exotic pets come from pet stores where buyers were not educated about their breeds, about their needs. I also want to add that not all of the species that are purchased through pet stores are humanely turned into shelters and rescues. Some are set loose. And that's why you wind up with the alligator that was found in a Bucks County pond, and goldfish that then become huge in local rivers. They're carp, they're predatory, and they impact the natural wildlife. That also happens with bird species, turtles, all kinds of things that are sold. So I urge the council to adopt an ordinance that covers all species of animals sold in pet stores. Dogs and cats would be a very decent start. But Radnor Township is positioned to set a new standard for nearly 2,000 other townships and municipalities across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania by passing an ordinance for all species. You would be the first to include all species from the very start. Easton, PA is currently the only township that includes all species, but they had expanded their original dog and cat ordinance with an amendment. So I think you should save yourselves the work, be the cool kids, and set a new standard in Pennsylvania for being a humane community. In closing, every animal, no matter its size, species, or price tag, deserves humane treatment. Our laws should reflect that compassion is not selective. By passing this ordinance, you would send a clear message in your community that all creatures deserve respect and that all consumers deserve protection. I respectfully ask your support in passing this all-species inclusive humane pet store ordinance. Thank you so much for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you.
I have a question, but for Commissioner Mulroney. Can we add, can we amend? I mean, if that's John, can we amend to
Yeah,
follow your
absolutely.
recommendation?
So I struggled with whether or not to go all in. And because this is our sort of first foray into this conversation, I did come a little conservative, but I know that not that way. So I am very open. I sort of wanted to have that discussion here because I do know that there are a lot of people who own and love their rabbits and care about where they come from. You know, guinea pig, I grew up with guinea pigs. These were not issues that we thought about back then, but they are now, and I think we've got a lot more folks who might, at least in our state and probably in our community, like exotic pets as well. So I would love to hear from other commissioners if there's an appetite for including rabbits, reptiles, fish, and birds.
And small mammals.
All small mammals? Small mammals, including rabbits.
Mhm.
That's not a mammal. A small
They're a mammal,
I
yeah.
mean, they're a mammal, but are they considered the small mammal?
Well,
Anyway.
dogs, cats, and rabbits are the three most populous species that are kept as pets in most homes across the United States. Guinea pigs would probably be fourth, and then other, pocket pets would be small mammals, birds and reptiles after that. I will tell you that one of the puppy mills that I go to, they have a kennel. They routinely surrender animals to me. I went into the wrong door one day, and I saw this big structure, and I was like, how many office supplies do these people have? Because there were these plastic, office supply drawers, and I opened one, and there were guinea pigs in every single one, and each drawer was a different color. And so, I know that people tend to think of just the animals they have at home, and there aren't as many of the exotics, but you can still find people who will breed them humanely, and you can go directly to them the same way we would encourage somebody to do for dogs, cats, and rabbits. So that's why I am sorry to put you on the spot to ask you for all species, but I figured if I had your attention for this, that we could talk about it. And again, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Other thoughts on expanding it to all species? Any hesitation?
I think you probably answered this, but is there any business in Radnor, is there anyone in Radnor who would be affected if we expanded the ordinance today as opposed to in the future?
No, we have no stores that do commercial sales of animals.
So nobody's going to close. This is just preventing
Preventing it.
bad acts
Right.
in the future.
And, my thought was, we've lost a couple of kind of large retailers and have a couple of big spaces that would be prime for one of the corporate pet stores that do sell. And I just wanted to make it clear that that's not the type of business that we would want to support here in Radnor. So, no current business would be affected, but it would make the message very clear to others who are looking that we would ban the sales.
And after Easton actually passed their ordinance, their expanded ordinance, one of the big chains actually immediately got rid of all of their animals out of the store, which was kind of a surprise. But it was a welcome surprise because they were compliant immediately. So even if they did want to come into one of your big box stores, they could do so just without the sale of animals.
Could I check with our solicitor?
Of course.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is an introduction, so you can modify it if you want to add all species. I just want to make sure I have all the species we're talking about. I have rabbits, mammals, birds, reptiles, and amphibians. Does that cover every
And fish,
No.
if you want to add fish as well.
fish?
And birds.
Oh, I have birds.
Oh,
on my-
you did, I missed
Yeah,
it, sorry.
Fish.
So I'm going to make a motion to amend the ordinance to include all species as just listed by the solicitor.
Second.
So no comment
Yeah.
on
Sorry, can we have public comment on
the
it?
amendment.
On the amendment as stated. Okay, any staff comment? Okay. Any board comment on this amendment? All right, we'll call the vote. All in favor? Aye. And opposed? No, none. Okay, very good. It passes.
Well, the amendment
Amendment
passed. Now we have to
passes.
pass the whole. So now, as amended.
As amended. This whole thing, sorry, pardon me. So as amended, ordinance 2026-12. Call the vote for that, or do I, am I going? All right. Public comment for that ordinance as amended. Seeing none?
Just one,
Yeah.
in the ordinance, this is just a corrective thing because of the consolidation of engineering and community development. The ordinance talks about just community development department, so I will advertise it as an engineering and community development department.
Is that part of it?
It's in 3 spots in the ordinance.
Gotcha.
Do we have to make a motion to amend for that purpose?
No, that's just a correction, that's a department name, it's not substantive. But it's 3 spots, 11520, 11521, 11522, too. So because of just last month, you consolidated the 2 departments, so I'll make that when it gets advertised. That's how it'll go to the newspaper.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, any more board comment? Okay, call the vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? No opposed. Very good, thank you. Thank you. Okay, 3E, Resolution 2026-61, establishing the Radnor Township Community Grant Program effective with the 2027 budget and funding cycle and setting the initial funding amount at $100,000. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second? Thank you. Yes, Mr. White, thank you.
Sure. This is a resolution I think is a couple years in the making. For those commissioners that have been through a couple budget cycles, usually towards the end of the budget cycle, when we kind of get down to the nitty-gritty, there's some discussion and debate over which community organizations receive funding. And then that has spurred other conversations on are we including everyone that could possibly benefit from receiving funds from the township, and the process by which those organizations are either chosen or not chosen. So Commissioners Maroney and previous Commissioner Abel took it upon themselves to take this charge up to draft a resolution. Commissioner Maroney has seen it through to what you're reading tonight. What this would do is establish a township committee made up of commissioners and township staff that would oversee a process that would work very similar to most grant processes that you would see. We would open it up to qualified 501c3s to submit applications for funding. That would go through a review process and then ultimately a recommendation that would make it back to the commissioners for a decision on funding. We set the amount at $100,000. That amount, currently we're just shy of that when you add up the different community organizations that we give money to that would qualify under this. So it's an increase. It's not significant, but it does establish a fixed number, which selfishly and budgetarily is helpful. so we know what the number is, at least going into year number 1. Going forward, that amount could change, obviously at Commissioner's discretion. But that's what the intention of this resolution is. The timing is important. If we wanted to include this program with the 2027 budget, we would need to start now to establish the grant application, the requirements, and the process, communicate it out to the community, and then accept those applications, review, and get a recommendation back to the board by the fall in time for the budget process. So that's why it's in front of you tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. I just, a couple of notes on this. Thank you. That was a perfect recitation of how this came about. I have a background in fundraising. I was director of grants at the Philadelphia Zoo. So I was in the business of applying for grants. I was on that side of the equation for a lot of years. And what I found when I became a commissioner is that we had just a few organizations sort of locked in as a legacy in our budget. Wonderful organizations, and I've always been very happy to support those. But I also, through events like Delco Gives and just, my knowledge of groups within the community that are doing really good work, they would never be considered because they never asked or they never had a relationship with a commissioner to sort of advocate to get into our budget. So I feel like this allows us to open it up. It becomes a competitive process. Right now, the current organizations that are embedded into the budget provide some limited information about what they do, what they're asking for, and what they've done with the funds. But this would allow a grant committee to be able to dig in a little bit deeper and, sort of make a determination annually what is a primary focus of our community and what organizations are out there doing good work and serving our residents. So there's enough structure around it that identifies that these are Radnor-based 501c3s serving Radnor residents. And the amount that that I added in here is up for consideration every year. So I didn't want to lock in that it must be $100,000. We can always give less. We can always suspend it for a year. I mean, that's a budgetary consideration that remains. This doesn't remove the ability of the Board of Commissioners to say we just don't have it this year, or we've got a windfall and we can increase the amount and increase the opportunity for these organizations. So I just thought it put some guardrails and some framework around something that we're currently doing, and just allows for more participation. So that's why I think it's a good idea, and I hope I have your support, but would love to hear what other commissioners think.
I have a quick question. So it's a 3-person committee that would be decided upon at the reorg meeting, sort of like we do our other committees and councils. Would that so that 3-person, say we decided it was a good year and we wanted to give 120, then that they would decide on that and then bring it to the full board for a vote? Or would the 3-person committee actually decide those changes?
Oh, so my thought would be very much that it's a board decision at the end. So this is like all of our other committees that are made up of board members. It's always advisory.
Advisory, got it,
So it would
thanks.
come
I
to this
just couldn't
board.
tell the way it read.
Yeah,
Thank
if we
you.
need to refine that, we can.
No, I'm
make
probably
sure
not
that's clear.
remembering correctly, but I'll go back and look.
I don't recall, but how much did we give to organizations this year?
It
So-
was over 80, I believe.
Yeah, we're 45,005 to one organization, an additional 20 to a different one, and then 5 to a third. And I
That's
was
70.
Yeah, I was remiss in saying in my summary that based on prior conversations, the funding that the township provides for the library, for the senior center, as well as community events, which include currently the parades and Music Fest, that those would not be part of this
Okay.
program. And specifically with regard to the library and senior center, Those are private organizations that are operating what would otherwise be municipal departments.
And a fire company.
Yeah, and the fire companies as well, that's a good point. And while we've lumped them under community organizations, yeah, they would not be included. That's a township department now, as of the last meeting. So we could clarify the process by which the committee gets their recommendations to the commissioners in here, and then also clarify the exclusion of the library, senior center, and community events, just for clarity.
Thank you. Any public comment? All right.
Hi, Baron Gemmer, South Wayne Avenue. Incredibly happy to see this. I've been, for the better part of 20 years, trying to get something like this going. When Jake was pushing it and throwing ideas out, and Commissioner Mulroney picking up the ball and running with it, I really appreciate it. Love the aspect of having a process around it, criteria, and then also prioritization, particularly of projects and initiatives versus operating expenses, so it's not, as Commissioner already stated, the same folks coming back just to get their operating expenses. So looking to expand, at least as part of priority, expand programs that they're offering. So I really appreciate. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any board comment?
I just want to maybe reiterate, this would not impact the fire company, the library, and the senior center. They continue to be funded the same way we always have.
Mr.
And
President?
additionally, things like our parade, money that we provide to the organizations that host our parades, not included. That's a separate way of funding.
All right, very good. Let's call the vote. All in favor? Aye. Very good.
Good night.
Okay.
What a roll. Thank you all.
3F, Resolution 2026-60, authorization of the payment of change order number 2 to repair the wiring in the area of Lancaster Avenue and Sproul Road, Spring Mill Road, Aldwin Lane, Kenilworth Road, and to repair the fiber between Lowry's Lane and Airedale Road to Lenny Electric Corporation for the Lancaster Avenue East Traffic Adaptation System Installation Project in the amount of $36,152 to be paid from the proceeds of the 2019 General Obligation Bond and Pennsylvania Department of Transportation grant.
Thank you, Mr. President. So as this lays out, we had underground cable that burned up at the Sproul Road intersection. We're not sure why. We think it may have been from a storm, a lightning strike. The major part of this was we lost a lot of overhead communication cable coming up between yards with tree branches that had fallen. So that was a large portion of that. And if I may, could I just take a couple minutes to provide a little update on the project, if that would be okay? So it's been substantially complete for some time. It's been operational. And I think what everybody has to remember is the project and the reason we got the grant was to make sure that Lancaster Avenue moved as efficiently as it could, right? That is the goal. Lancaster Avenue, then on average, gets over 22,000 cars a day. Now, we have the side streets, and that's where we've been tweaking the system. I think I could tell you that it has been very successful in moving Lancaster Avenue along. I run it every day. I look for some of the concerns we get with backing up on the side streets. I do it AM rush hour, sometimes PM rush hour, but I will tell you, Lancaster Avenue moves very well east to west and west to east. So some of the roads we've had the most trouble with, one was Lowry's, one was Ithan. And each week I ride it with the representative from Rhythm. It's a gentleman that owns his own company that represents Rhythm Engineering out here. And he makes small tweaks to each intersection to try to get it to where it needs to be. And he just told me today, Steve, I had to, the idea is to get Lancaster Avenue to run as smoothly as possible, but we don't want to totally affect the side streets. But today he told me, look, I had to sacrifice a little bit of Lancaster Avenue to get Lowry's Avenue working a little better. And what I'd just like everybody to understand is it's going to be different. So what you encountered on any of the side streets on Lancaster Avenue at a traffic signal will be different than it was for the last 20 years. In most cases, it's better. There will be times where you may wait longer than you anticipated, and then the next run, it clears out. That's the system learning. It says, uh-oh, I have too many cars. I need to adjust it on this next round. So he has been making small tweaks to various intersections every week that we drive it. We're going to drive it again this week, and we'll drive it again next week. And I think we're reaching the point where the balance being the side streets are less affected, and Lancaster Avenue is still moving forward as it should. Like I say, that's what the grant's for. This is a very important transportation corridor for PennDOT as well as us and all the other townships. And I will tell you, we do encounter some backups at Airedale, but that's because the signal in the Lower Marion is the next signal eastward, a county line, is not on the system. It's in Lower Marion. It's not in our township. So we do get some backup from there. But I will tell you, the project has been successful, Route 30. We've had several weeks of trying to address traffic on the side streets. I think we're getting very close to that point.
Thank you, Mr. Norsini. For this resolution, can I get a motion
So moved.
and a second?
Second.
Thank you. Public comment? Staff?
Yeah, the only thing I would add, I agree with everything that Mr. Norsini said, is there, in addition to the tweaks that are being done regularly, there's a couple other elements of the system that we are still evaluating too. And then working on a public discussion about the summary that Mr. Norsini provided to get out to the community as to where the project originated from, what its intention was, how it is working, and then how it will, again, I can't repeat what Steve said because it's an engineering basis, but how will it improve over time, given the type of system that it is. But there's still a few things that we continue to work on, and we'll keep everyone up to date as those go forward.
Thank you. Any board comment?
I guess I just have the one thing that we had discussed, was the order of the pedestrian crossing amongst the smaller roads versus Lancaster Avenue, and I know that you were working on that as well.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. So the biggest one is at Ithan Avenue in Lancaster. One thing, in speaking to our representative, the time for the students to cross has not changed. That's actually a state-regulated time. So some people have said, oh, no, the time's, it's not. It's the same. But the sequencing is different. And so that probably two of the biggest intersections to balance. One was Sproul, Spring Mill, Kenilworth, Aldwin, right? That's a tough one. And that, I think that pushed the limits of everything. We've yet to have a system that operated that clearly, and I think we have one now. The next was Villanova and Ithan. So we knew we have the PED scramble is what we call it, because they come from all angles and they go through. So the time has not changed, but the sequencing has. I have reached out to our representative, and Mr. White had actually asked me this last week if that could go back to what it was. I don't have an answer on that yet. As soon as I do, I will let Mr. White know and let you know.
Thank you. Okay. I'm going to call the vote. All in favor? Thank you. on to reports from board liaisons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the EAC had our second town hall about the idea of a phase out of gas leaf blowers, both for air, because of air pollution and noise pollution. We had an excellent turnout, very vocal, but for the most part respectful. And it gave us some additional things to think about as to what would be good for all of the residents and the best way to go about it. We haven't discussed it at all, and nor is there a proposed ordinance before us. So there's a lot of things we have to consider. There's all kinds of options, from nothing, to the most extreme, to sitting it out for, see what happens with Lower Merion, to maybe try a time restriction, sort of 9 to 1, 3 to 5, something like that. And there's all kinds of options. So we really have to think it through and see how it's working out in other townships as well, other municipalities. So that's where we are.
There was one thing that came to me as the liaison to the Board of Health, is if the Board of Health will weigh in on the, at least particulate pollution, and potentially the noise pollution part of it too. So I'll send your original packet over to the Board of Health.
Thank you.
This isn't really a committee report, but, so I can. It has to do with Parks and Rec. So I just wanted to congratulate everybody on the Wheels of Wayne. Yesterday, it was a fabulous event. The weather was threatening, but the cars showed up and then the people followed. So it was a really wonderful event. You all know I love it because I put a car in it, and I always get the Tammy Cohen Thanks for Coming Out Commissioner Award. And but the winners were really happy, and the businesses were out in force, and it was just a wonderful day. Couldn't happen without our police department, our public works, our Parks and Rec, all the staff who engaged with it. It's a great day, and it's 12 years, and I think it's a wonderful event to be known for here in Radnor. So thank you to everyone who made that happen.
I'll make a comment, I guess Parks and Rec. Youth Trout Derby Day, which was 2 Saturdays ago, and they, of course, always have a big turnout, and it was really good, and they have tons of people there that volunteer to help in that. They have tents set up, and they have like an earlier one, then a later one, and they have one the next day. But the parents love it, kids love it. It was great. Thanks. Okay, any new business? Any old business? Public participation? All right, seeing none. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.